Hi everyone, and welcome to the Inside Guide podcast. My name is Marion. I'm a coach and facilitator, and this show is all about exploring yourself. Each week, I'll give you all the tips and tricks you need to gain clarity and serenity. My mission here is to help you to reconnect to you so that you can take real actions to feel happier and more aligned. Remember to subscribe to the show to not miss any episodes. Sit back, relax, and let's begin. Hello, and welcome to this new episode on what to do to declutter your mind. And oh my God, I'm so happy to do this episode. I have so many things to tell you. And I know that you might think, okay, Marion, you kind of like say that to any episode that you do, but it's true. It's just that I'm so fascinated with the power of the mind. So let's begin. So, do you feel often mentally cluttered? If you do, I just want to say that it's completely normal as we live in a world that is always connected and full of distraction. So, what is mental clutter? It is anything that keeps you from thinking straight. And any type of mental clutter can slow you down and make you even more confused. The thing with us is that when we struggle with a situation, we struggle to take a step back and enough perspective to have a positive self talk that supports clarity. When we are confused, we tend to see the worst case scenarios. Often it's built on our own perceptions, and most of us struggle to step into other people's shoes. So, what to do to clear mental clutter? When we are mentally cluttered, we are confused. So, what we want to do is to work on gaining clarity. So, today we're going to talk about the elements, the 5 elements of clarity. Because when we gain clarity, we also gain serenity. And that's what I want for you guys. So, before we dig into the details, I just want to remind you about the survival brain because it will help you to understand more about the rest of the episode. So, the survival brain is trying to keep us alive. During time of crisis, chaos, or traumatic experiences, we enter what we call survival mode. And when we experience stressful events, our brain begins to function in a different capacity. And I just want to mention that those experiences can either be real life threats or perceived threats to our safety. Because our brain does not make any difference between them, it just reacts. And it can be very hard to know when you're in a survival mode. So, what to do to declutter your mind? Give space, gain perspective. You want to work on gaining perspective and to get out of the emotions. So, let's talk about the 5 elements of clarity. The first one is a parasympathetic nervous system dominance. So, if you want to have more details about that, I encourage you to listen to the second episode, How to Manage Your Negative Emotions, where I gave a lot of details on how the brain works. So, the parasympathetic nervous system dominance is one of the foundational elements of clarity. So you need to understand that when you are in survival brain, you are in a sympathetic nervous system. This is what we call the fight or flight response. And once again, if you are not familiar with this notion of fight or flight response, I encourage you to listen to the second episode. So, what are the signs of a survival brain? You will tend to have a muscular rigidity, a deep, rapid breathing, inner critic, meaning unproductive rumination. So, you will tend to dwell on problems. Reduced brain function. This is typical, for example, when we start meditation. Most of people, it's very hard for us because our brain functions are quite limited. And reactivity. So you will tend to react really easily to your environment. So what we want to do is to strengthen the opposite. So we want to strengthen the parasympathetic nervous system, also known as the rest or digest mode. So the signs for it are deep learning, athletic agility, a calm and steady breathing, inner wisdom with solution based and positive self talk. When we are in a parasympathetic nervous system dominance, we also have improved brain function and creativity. Because the opposite of reactivity is creativity. So we want to work on this. We want to strengthen our creativity. So it's really important to realize that it's even more physiological that you would imagine. So, in order to gain clarity, the first thing to do is to strengthen the right parts of your brain to shift your physiology and gain a physiology that will support your growth and change. The second element of clarity is training our brain to reflect. So, most of the time, when we are confused and mentally cluttered, we tend to ruminate a lot and to dwell into problems a lot. What we want is to find solutions to problem. We want to utilize imagination. We have to train the brain to open a door and utilize a healthy physiology to find solutions. So, for most of us, we don't reflect enough. We tend to react too quickly and we are not used to reflect enough. Our society is based on action. We've been told that, just sitting and thinking is a waste of time, but we actually need to reflect way much more in order to take a good perspective to give space and declutter your mind. So train your brain to reflect more. Train your brain to not always be distracted and busy. Train your brain to sit and reflect, to sit and think, to not do anything else. Because reflection is the most powerful tool to strengthen the right parts of your brain. The third element of clarity is a mature theory of mind. So, to understand other people's beliefs, thoughts, and desires, we need to understand ours first. So, it's really important to gain self knowledge, to be able to take enough perspective without confusing our own problems. To take a cognitive perspective, to not get into the emotion. So, as I said in the very beginning, most of people, including myself, we react with our emotions. We see life through the filter of emotion. And this is the main problems because when you see your life through your emotions, you will react to them. And when you don't have the right part of your brain that are activated and you are not trained to reflect, it's gonna be very easy for you to react straight away into what we call negative emotions. So into anger, frustration, and fear, especially as we said at the beginning, when we are in a stressful event, when we experience a time of crisis like what we live right now, what we're living since 2020 in the worldwide pandemic. Most of people, they are not able to take a step back. They are not used and they didn't train their brain to reflect enough. And so they will jump straight away into facts and emotions. And I truly believe that what we're living at the moment is the perfect example for that. When you see how the way when you see the way how people react to a lockdown, to wearing a mask, to vaccines. And my point is absolutely not to say if this is good or this is bad, if I agree or if I don't agree. But seriously, when you just take enough perspective to just look at the world and the way people react, we are straight into our emotions. So, what we want to do to gain clarity and to not be as confused is to gain self knowledge, as I said, to be able to take enough perspective without confusing our own problems. The fourth element of clarity is a constructive imagination. So, healthy use of imagination trains the subconscious. I don't know if you are aware of it, but over 90% of your mental life is subconscious. The outside is a mirror of the inside. An healthy use of imagination helps to react in a positive and productive way in order to navigate in our personal interactions. A constructive and healthy use of imagination produces insight and creates positive feedback via memories. And this is when our subconscious starts to work in our favor. And what I mean by all of this is that with the society we live in, with the increase of social media use and screen use, we are not used to imagine in a constructive way. We are not used to not be distracted. We are constantly busy. We are always doing something, trying to do something, trying to be something, trying to think something. We're not used to just reflect. Like, seriously, how easy is it for you to embrace the art of doing nothing? Like be honest with yourself. Is it easy and pleasant for you to do nothing? And the thing is that for most of us, even including myself, is no. The answer is no. We are not used to do nothing. And this reminds me something that I read in the book Untamed from Glennon Doyle that I absolutely love, by the way. She says, "Phones were designed to keep us addicted to exterior life. If we never dive inward, we never become who we were meant to be. Phone steals boredom from us." And I completely agree with it. It's hard for most of us to just be bored, to just use our imagination. And because we are not used to use our imagination, it's even hard to build a constructive one. So, this was the fourth element: constructive imagination. Try to have a healthy use of your imagination. So, the fifth and last element of clarity is memory. Memories change the structure of the brain, and the more you strengthen your parasympathetic nervous system dominance, so the rest or digest mode, the more you train your brain to reflect, the more you understand about yourself, you gain self knowledge and take perspective to not go straight into your emotions. The more you use your imagination in a healthy way, the more you will build and create a positive feedback via memories. And when you do this, it optimizes your physiology for growth and change, because you can either build in a way that will benefit you or the opposite. You can make your subconscious as an ally or making it your enemy. So see it this way. When you are mentally cluttered, you're confused. There is the reactivity with the opinion overloaded, rumination, dwelling into problem, shallow thinking, overstimulation, confusion, sympathetic nervous system dominance with the fight or flight response, a destructive feedback, and an inner critic. And then you can create a bridge towards creativity by listening from within, enough reflection, a deep thinking, inner stimulation, gaining clarity, strengthening the rest or digest mode with the parasympathetic nervous system dominance, a constructive feedback, and inner wisdom. So the bridge that you create between reactivity and creativity is the foundation of my approach. It is the base of how I work with my clients. To conclude this episode, let me just give you a few tips on how you can create this bridge between reactivity and creativity. So plan time by yourself with no interactions, no screens, social media detox, and all of that. Spend time in nature, go for a walk, practice meditation, breathing exercise, take care of your mental health, and build a productive physiology for your brain to support the growth and change you want to create in your life. Take care of your health, eat healthy, and practice physical activity. Take time for creativity, create art, and do some writing or journaling. Put your brain into a flow state. To summarize, we can say that it's less actions and more reflection. Remember that the role of your mind is to unify physiology, to set intentions, execute clear thought and action, listen in self reflection, and shape your perspective to control your interpretation. You can affect your physiology with how you think. And if you want to improve your life, this is the first step. Let me just finish with a quote from Dr. Caroline Leaf from her book, Think, Learn, Succeed. Our thoughts become things. When we feed our minds with thoughts of success, abundance, and confidence, eventually those thoughts make their way into the hard drive of our mind, the subconscious. And remember, it is the subconscious that controls about 95 of every aspect of us. Those 60,000 thoughts you have every day will work in your favor. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to go deeper and shape a life where you create and not react, a life where you feel in control, clear and serene, but you don't know how, I invite you to visit my website for my coaching programs. You can follow the link in the description. Thank you, take care, and see you next week.